Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, guys, this is an absolute crisis alert in the United Kingdom. We have a situation here in the United Kingdom that is going from absolute bad to worse. What am I talking about? I'm talking about we've got this, the Afghan man you guys know what he's been doing. We've also got this deportation, the guy that was deported for sexual offence in Epping. He's been deported straight away. So it does look like the government in the United Kingdom can deport people as and when they want. Now, the next question that I'm going to put it to you guys is, why are they not doing that with everyone? Look, guys, the inevitable is here. Twitter, X this morning, it is absolutely rife with people talking about civil war inevitable in the United Kingdom. And look, guys, if you've been watching this channel, you guys know that what I think. Look, ladies and gentlemen, have you seen the video? Throw it in the chat, guys. You see video of the Afghan man attacking the 49-year-old man who's been named locally as Wayne Broadhurst. Guys, if you've not seen the video, it's up to you whether you want to see it. I'm not going to tell people not to see it, and I'm not going to tell people to see it. It's very disturbing. I've seen a lot of this stuff, guys, in my career. I've witnessed a lot of it firsthand. And what I saw was absolute brutality. This guy only had one intention. The Afghan, he only had one intention, and that intention was to transcend the other guy into a beam of light. So it was just brutal, guys. And like, here's the question to you guys. All right, that was just one person. Very difficult to hold that person down. How are you going to deal? Like, how are you going to deal with that person on the streets? How are you going to deal with 2 of them going crackers? How are you going to deal with 5 of them? Okay, how are you going to deal with 1,000 of them? Can you imagine 1,000 of these people get together and just decide to go stabby slashy? Like, how are you going to deal with that? Yes, of course, the police will come and they've got firearms. Think about the carnage that's going to get done beforehand. And do you know what, guys? You know when that happens, and it will happen, you know when it happens, do you know what the government are going to say? Do you know what they're going to claim? Absolutely nothing. Where's the outcry from Keir Starmer? Where's Keir Starmer come out saying this is a disgusting attack this is a disgusting attack and we need to show solidarity? Where's any politicians coming out, guys? Where's this happened in Uxbridge. As I understand it, this is like 20 miles from where Jeremy Corbyn lives. Well, why is Jeremy Corbyn not commenting? This is literally in his constituency. Why is Jeremy Corbyn not commenting? Oh, this was, why is this happening, guys? You guys have seen the video of this man, the Afghan man attacking Wayne Broadhurst in Uxbridge. It's wild, guys. And what I'm saying to you guys is now, you have no idea what's coming. You really have no idea what's coming. The first casualties, the first mass casualties, they are going to be the Liberals, guys. We've already spoke about that. But listen, last night on the live stream, I forgot to mention something, so I'm just going to go through this now real quick. There was a video released yesterday on Talk Radio, in fact, Talk TV. Former Met Police detective Peter Blakesley expresses his fury as charity bankrolled by the government uses 385 million of taxpayer cash to put a positive spin on migration in schools. So let me play this video.
Investigates surge of migrant fugitives, not just illegal immigrants, but fugitives.
So here the mainstream media guys are catching up with what we've been saying on this channel. They're talking now about, if you're on the run in a foreign country, they're coming to the United Kingdom, because why wouldn't you? And look, guys, for everybody people will start catching on to this now. But for everybody who's been saying that, for everybody that's been saying that you can't, we can't deport these people. Why can't we deport these people? Look what's just happened. Look what's just happened with this, with Hadush, whatever his name is. Hadush, I don't know his second name. The Epping guy, he's literally been deported within, I think 48 hours of him being rearrested, he was gone. So somebody answer that question for me, guys. If the government can deport people back to Eritrea within 48 hours of them being arrested, What about all the other foreign criminals in our prison system? What about all the other foreigners that that don't get deported? What about all this other stuff? Like, why aren't other people being deported as quickly and as efficiently? So let's not listen to the argument that they say, oh, we can't because of this human rights. Bullshit. When the government want to do something, they will do it. They will change the laws. They will change the legislation. They will reinterpret. And this is why I keep saying, ladies and gentlemen, nothing is. There's lots of protests planned. Nothing's going to happen without that legal protection. And I want you guys to keep opening that conversation up, ladies and gentlemen. The where is our legal protection from a tyrannical government? Because I put it to you that we don't have any. And before the guys come on here and start saying, oh, we do have it, we really don't. Hang on. Yeah, we'll do it there. Right, guys, I'm gonna get some chat, and then we're gonna go on to the main articles. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are double streaming this morning. We are on YouTube and we are on X. We're not on TikTok because I've been banned. But you know what, guys? I'm kind of okay with that, because I don't have to mind my P's and Q's now. Should we just do YouTube from now on, guys? Should we just do YouTube? To that end, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you share my stuff, guys. I'm really interested in hearing from barristers, legal firms, people with real experience in constitutional law. Jake is saying, yes, I'm tired of this now because it's becoming the new normal. It is becoming the new normal, isn't it? It is becoming the new normal. Rape gangs. Oh, it's just, yeah, that's what they go rapey. Oh, stabby. Yeah, they go stabby. Ladies and gentlemen, we need legal protection. And I promise you, as soon as we get that legal protection, we can change everything. But without that legal protection, we are going to change nothing, because individual people will be sent to prison. And when those individual people, I'm genuinely worried about my posts. If I post something online, I'm really worried. I'm like, right, okay, is that going to be am I going to get Lucy Conley? And that's the reality. Helen MG is saying it's all for show. Roman Six King. Hello, Roman Six King. What a fantastic thumbnail you have, guys. I think we should all just have a little appreciation of Roman Six King. I don't know what Six King means. Maybe that's your name. Roman Six King. If that's your real name, that is the most badass name I've ever heard. Roman Six King is saying total remigration will prevent the civil war. It's not going to happen, though, is it, guys? Let's be clear. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. Look, guys, I think I'm going to come back on this afternoon. A few people have been saying, Sean, how do we prepare for what's coming? And it's real simple. Get food, water, and don't go out at night. That's what I would say. But then you look at this man who was, murdered. He was just walking his dog in the day, so it doesn't really matter what time of day you go out. I think I'm going to do I think I'll come back on later and we'll do how to prepare for this, because a lot of people don't understand it, and I see it from people, and they're just the worst. They're just the worst. They're like, yeah, I'll go over there and I'll tell them this. Do you know what, guys? I was driving down High Street the other day, and this is a true story. I was driving down High Street the other day, and I was stuck in traffic. It was like a town high street, and there's the barbers. Every second shop's a barber vape shop. And there was a little alleyway, and there were some people. I don't know what nationality they were. They didn't look British, but I don't know. And they'd come out of the barber shop. So I was sat there in traffic, and they came out the barber shop, and they're just crouching. Do the crouching thing that certain people do from a very particular part of the world, where they're squatting and smoking. Anyway, I swear to God, this happened. One of them went into his pocket, and he pulled out a thing, a sharp, pointy thing that you eat your dinner with that's not a fork or a spoon. And they're all looking at it and passing it around. And then he folded it and put it back in his thing. I was just like, oh, right, okay. Whatever, whatever. That's how he rolls. Maybe it was a work device that he uses for shaving people. I don't know. But I was just thinking, and we've all seen, if you've seen the video of this, if you guys have seen the video of this Afghan man going stabby, He's going for vital organs. He's going neck, kidneys, lungs. You're not ready for that, guys. Well, I don't know who you are, but most of you are not ready for that. I've dealt with this all my life, guys. I've dealt with this all my life. I've been, I've seen this in the Middle East. I've spent a lot of time in the military doing military stuff. I've spent a lot of time as a security contractor in the Middle East. I've dealt with the worst parts of this. And as it looks like from this article here, and I've been saying this as well, let me just rewind this, guys, and I'll play this video again.
The Sun investigates surge of migrant fugitives, not just illegal immigrants, but fugitives.
Did you hear that, guys? The Sun's investigating a surge in migrant fugitives. Again, ladies and gentlemen, in 6 months' time, in 9 months' time, the mainstream media will be saying, what legal framework do we have to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government?
And it exposes brilliantly in this article, well done Nick Parker, the foreign editor, of the criminals that have come in here who have been wanted elsewhere for crimes such as, you've got it, murder. So
this is, look guys, I'm not saying this. This is Peter Blakesley. He is a former Met Police detective, and he's saying that people who are wanted for murder are making their way into the United Kingdom via the small boats. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do that? So now we have these people in the United Kingdom, and I've been talking about
murderers coming into this country on dinghies, being fed and clothed and housed at our expense and brought into this country when they shouldn't be.
What have I been saying, ladies and gentlemen? What have I been saying? Let's just go back and listen to that, what he says again. Can you hear that? Can you hear the volume?
Criminals that have come in here who have been wanted elsewhere for crimes such as, you've got it, murder. Yeah. Murderers coming into this country on dinghies, being fed and clothed and housed at our expense and brought into this country when they shouldn't be.
It's an absolute disgrace. This place, safe haven for murderers, rapists, the worst kind of criminals from all over the world. They're coming here, they get into northern France, getting onto these dinghies, these small boats, coming across.
60,191 boat migrants have arrived since Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. So can you imagine, guys, just 1% of those going stabby? Can you imagine that? Just 1% going crazy stabby, going wild, thinking, right, this is it now.
We don't know anything about them. And all of a sudden, they're not treated as criminals, which they are. They're serious. They're like welcomed guests, aren't they? It's an absolute.
Can you imagine this, guys? Contextualize this now. Just contextualize this now. Hypothetical scenario, all right? Just contextualize, okay? Contextualize, is that a word? Contextualize, I think it's a word. Whatever. I'm an English gentleman. I can make up words, guys. It's my birthright. Contextualize this, right? A man commits a really bad crime in a country, right? A really bad crime, and he's wanted. That man is wanted. The police are chasing him. They're like, right, we're going to get this guy. He's going to the gallows. So he thinks, right, okay, well, rather than stay here and go to the gallows, I'm just going to leave and I'll go to the United Kingdom. So he's a really bad man now. He's done some terrible, like the worst things that you could possibly imagine that a man could do to another man. He's done that. Hypothetical scenario, guys, okay? He gets on a boat. He comes to the United Kingdom. And you've got all these liberals. Oh, come here. We've got you now. You're safe. Where are you fleeing? Where are you fleeing? Oh, I did this real bad stuff. So come here. Here's some nice dinner. Oh, you don't want that. Here, have this dinner. Promise you, ladies and gentlemen, the first casualties of this, the first casualties are going to be these liberals. I promise you guys, the first casualties are going to be these liberals, and they're not going to have a clue what's happened. Jake is saying it's bigger than our army. I believe, yeah, it is, guys. It's a lot bigger. And not only that, these people, you know, that are in the United Kingdom that I believe are just waiting for the thumbs up. To deploy the military, you'll need to call them back to barracks. You'll need to arm them. Oh, look, guys, let's not forget, a lot of the military are not teeth arms. So, you know, let me Google this. So you know how we say, wow. So you know how we say, so you know how we say that the British military, the army, what did we say? It's 84,000 or something. Was it 84? I can't remember. I think it was 84,000 as of last year, because they're the numbers I got. Do you know how many of those are actually infantry? And by infantry, I mean people like teeth arms that can go and do stuff. 19,400, which consists of 31 regular battalions and 16 reserve battalions. Jesus Christ, that's not, wow. So that number is, you could say you're looking at 12,000. Hang on. Let me re-ask this question. So hang on, that's wrong. How many regular? Oh, no, that is okay. Okay, it's giving me the same number. Okay, whatever. Right, so the number, so it's less than 20,000. So if you think, and of those 20,000, you're going to have at least, you know, of those 20,000 military, you're going to have at least, like, I don't know, 15% of those in a command role. So they're in a leadership role, so they're not going to be doing any fighting. But let's go with that number, guys. Let's go with 19,400. Let's go with 20,000. Let's go with 90. Let's go with 20,000. So it'll be easier to work out when I'm doing my Raven maths. So we have got in the United Kingdom 20,000 infantry soldiers. And, you know, they're the ones who would be, you know, assisting the police, securing the streets. It's not enough, not even remotely. Not even remotely, guys. You know, so the number where people are saying that we've got an army of, like, the army is like, I think we said 84,000 or something. The number of actual fighting troops is 19,000, well, 29, I said 19,000, 19,500, call it. So that's the real number of fighting troops. Now, if you think how many people you need to secure a town, there's not enough soldiers, guys. There is not enough, not even remotely, not even close to deal with what's coming. So what the government need to do right now, and they need to do this in secret, they need to start closing these hotels down. They need to start using, you know, they need to do proper military stuff. They need to turn the internet off. They need to block all signals around that area. They need to move in on force and hotel by hotel, close them down, tag them, you know, bag and tag them, get them gone. That's what needs to happen, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think that's going to happen? No, of course not. Of course not. It'd be a national scandal. It'd be a national scandal that Britain is protecting its citizens. So look, guys, I know I keep saying this. Hadush from Epin has been deported. Hadush from Epin has been deported. It took the government 48 hours to deport Hadush. So, like, why can't they do that with other people? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this is an absolute crisis alert. You know, civil war is inevitable in the United Kingdom. Elon Musk's throwing this out there again. Lots of other people are throwing this out there all over X. I don't think it's going to be a civil war in the context that civil war would be two opposing sides, clearly identifiable goals and objectives. One side will be a winner, one side will be a loser. That's not what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. That is not what's coming at all. So how do you think? So here's a little love triangle for you guys, okay? Little love triangle for you guys. Pakistan and Afghanistan right now are about to have a war, okay? So the Pakistan community in the United Kingdom and the Afghan community, they will be at loggerheads. The Indian community, they don't like the Pakistani community. But then the Indian community going to ally with the Pakistan community until the Pakistan community have been destroyed? And then when those two have been destroyed, are those two going to fight each other? What about the Somalians? What about the Eritreans? What about the Syrians, the Iraqis? What about all these different beautiful nationalities that are enriching our country? Guys, listen, when this kicks off, you really have no idea. Just imagine this now, guys. If you've seen the video of this guy, if you guys have seen the video of this guy, let me get it up actually. If you guys have seen the video of this Afghan attacking Wayne Broadhurst, it's just savage, guys, you know. It's absolute savage. It's not an attack. It's not an attack, guys. It's an execution. Like, imagine this now. You're in, I don't know, you're in a shopping center, wherever, I don't know, walking down the high street. Maybe not even that. Maybe you're just at like one of those little shopping outlet centers. Doesn't matter. And somebody's going crazy. How are you going to stop that person? You're not. What if there's two of them? What if there's three of them? It's game over, guys. It's game over until the police get there. Like, and imagine if you do stop one of those people and you accidentally hurt them. You're going to jail. You are going to jail. And it's going to be, you know, and the media is going to be all over it. You know, you'll be the guy who's up in court with attempted, you know, the thing, or maybe the thing. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, if my advice to everybody, go out at night and minimize your trips everywhere, because the United Kingdom is not safe, guys. We are on an absolute knife edge right now. So four pauses here saying, to be fair, I'm not defending him. His crime was at the law. Yeah, okay, so what four pauses saying is, you know, the guy Hadush who's been released. So Hadush, you know, good old Hadush. He got released by mistake. He's been rearrested, and within 48 hours they got him out of the country and they deported him. And they're all saying, yeah, David Lammy is saying, yeah, good riddance. That's where he belongs, back home with his family. What about all the murderers, guys? What about the murderers who've been let out of jail? What about the 7/7 attacker? You know, the mastermind behind the 7/7 bombing. As I understand it, he's been let out now and he's free to roam the streets of the United Kingdom. Why can't we deport him? What about all the other foreign criminals, like, that we are not deporting? Like, so we can see, and I've said this all along, we can see that framework, that legal framework, is already there. The government are just lying. They're, you know, well, I don't know if they're lying. I struggle to see how they can find the legal path to deport Hadush in 48 hours, but they can't. But they spend millions on trying to deport hate preachers. They spend millions in trying to deport people who have done things to kids. We've all seen the stories, guys. You know, we've all seen the stories on, you know, oh, we can't deport this man because of his human rights. Well, Haddouche went straight back. About Haddouche's human rights. Laurie Haley's saying it's a total shit show. I wouldn't trust the government running a tap, let alone anything important. Martin Quinn is saying he'll be back next week on another boat under a different name with the money they gave him to start a new life. It is crazy, guys. Listen, it is absolutely crazy what's happening. And you know what? Like another. Do you know what really? Do you know what really shocked me this morning? If you guys go on to, I'll do it now. Let me do it now. Right, if you do a search, a Google search for breaking news UK, this is what you get. Hurricane Melissa, it's not in the UK, but whatever. Gaza, Israel latest. Lakshmi Mittal's energy venture, something about Russian oil. Migrant sex offender deported from UK. Why is there a budget black hole and how the Chancellor might fill it? And we've got Israel launches strikes on Gaza after Netanyahu launches orders powerful attacks. Nothing. Again, this may be my Google search, guys. I don't know. Do it yourself. You know, nothing on the Afghan migrant who just went stabby and murdered someone. Nothing, guys. Absolutely nothing. Why? Why is that being suppressed? So, but obviously, you know, if you search, you know, you'll get all the information. But if you didn't know that this had happened and you didn't know to search for that, you wouldn't be told. Sorry, guys, I'm just reading this. Yeah, it's. I don't know if you've seen the. I don't know if you guys have seen the footage, guys. Have you seen that? Have you actually seen the video of this? It's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I don't know what started this. You know, I know a lot of people from the Middle East don't like dogs. And have you seen the poor little dog as well? The poor dog is just, the dog doesn't know what to do. I just honestly, guys, and nothing's being said. Can you imagine if this was a role reverse? Like, can you imagine if this was a role reverse? Izzy B. Allen is saying, yes, it's horrifying. Izzy B. Allen, are you talking about the, I'm assuming you're talking about the video. You know, I'm assuming you're talking about the video of the guy, the Afghan guy going stabby. Also, ladies and gentlemen, I've just heard from, I just saw from a mainstream media outlet, I can't remember which one it was, but apparently up to 90% of NHS doctors and nurses are refusing flu and COVID jabs. So where do we think that's going, guys? Can you remember the crazy times of 2020? And all the nurses were doing the little dancers. Straight away, you know what? You know how, look, guys, if you've been on the channel for a while, you guys, you know, I have a very particular train of thought. One of the things I always say is when I get information, I like instantly within a couple of seconds, I follow it through to like all different, you know, potential outcomes and think what's the most likely. So when I was seeing all these NHS doctors doing the, you know, the doctors and the nurses in their scrubs with the mops on the corridors, doing the little dancers, I was like, hang on a minute, right? So one of two things is happening here. Either one, the situation is that bad, literally, behind those walls, it's like death and destruction, people choking to death, and it's absolute carnage. And after seeing that, you're like, oh, let's do a dance. So I was like, all right, okay, that's one option. Or the other option is you've got nothing to do and you're that bored, you're having to do dances. So, you know, what it was either one of those options, you know. I suspect now it was the latter. Jake is saying many must see what the government have done to everyone. I think you're right, Jake. Listen, you know, all the information, you know, all this information is coming out now. It is all this information is coming out now. And look, guys, civil war is, you know, I believe it's inevitable, but I don't think it's going to be a civil war in the context that you're going to have this side versus this side, and this side want this, and this side want this. That's not what's happening. It's literally going to be like Northern Ireland, but on steroids, because that's the way Britain is going right now, guys. That is the way Britain's going. We're going to have these little communities. I saw it the other day, actually. Where was I? I think I was going to take a picture of it, but I was driving. It would not be safe to do so. And I couldn't be bothered to turn around. I was driving down the street, and there was like 3 or 4 Union flags on one side of the street. And then on the other side of the street, there was like Pakistani flags. And I was like, okay. So that's where we are now. So what? Are we claiming that side of the road's Pakistan and this side of the road's Britain? Or what does that mean? And I've said this is going to happen. We're going to have situations in the UK where you're going to have your little community, and you're all going to have your union flags, and you don't step out of there. This is what happens in Northern Ireland, guys. You know, this is how it works in Northern Ireland, but in the United Kingdom, it's going to be a lot worse. Blocks Gaming is saying, what annoys me is my partner and our 4 children are facing potential homelessness when our Section 21 kicks in November the 30th, and we are not priority for housing until that date. Not at all. What does Section 21 mean, mate? I don't know what Section 21 is. Can somebody help me out with what Section 21 means? I don't know what that means. What I will say, you know, what I will say about this is a lot of our property, I think this is where it's going. A lot of the property in the United Kingdom isn't owned by British people, you know. It's owned by foreign investors. And these foreign investors, they do not care. Foreign investors do not care about you or your feelings. Foreign investors care about money. And that's absolutely fine by me, guys. That's absolutely fine. We need to understand this. We need to kick every foreign investor out of the United Kingdom. Every penny. Every penny of foreign investment, guys, needs to be gone. Needs to be gone out of this country. It does. Every penny. Oh, but Sean, stop. All right? No, we need to get rid of every penny. I'm not going to go into economics, guys, but trust me. Foreign investors are taking our money in taxes, and that leaves the country. Because it's a foreign investor, so that money leaves and it goes to a foreign country. And those foreign countries are probably funding our own demise. We need to grow our economy, so we need to grow small businesses. Promote British homegrown businesses. That way you grow the economy. And you know those people who built that business in the United Kingdom and they're paying staff in the United Kingdom, they're not paying them minimum wage. I know there's a company. He did some work for me. I spoke to him the other day, but he did some work for me like last year or something. And at Christmas, he gave all his staff. They have a Christmas dinner. Big Christmas dinner, takes all his staff off Christmas dinner, and he gave them all a £1,000 bonus just out of his own pocket. He's like, here you are, guys, it's Christmas, here's $1,000. We did well this year, thank you, you guys are helping me. There you go, there's £1,000 each back. He got maybe 50 staff. That was 50 grand out of his own pocket plus the Christmas due. That's how you run a company, guys. That's how people who live locally and employ locally, that's how they roll. That is literally how they roll. If that had been an international company, they would be paying their staff minimum wage. At Christmas, they'd have said, thank you very much, off you go. They don't care. And that 50 grand went in somebody's back pocket. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is, you know, a lot of houses and a lot of property, they're being bought up by international investors, and then the international investors are just trying to get as much money as they can from those houses, and that's what they do. So every time you see the government come up and say, we have secured this much money in international investment, ridiculous. It just winds me up. Belfast and Beyond says, I'm from Northern Ireland. What part of Northern Ireland are you from, if you don't mind? Oh, Belfast. Belfast and Beyond, he said, from Belfast, is saying, I'm from Northern Ireland and I'd go through the troubles again in a heartbeat before I go through what's to come. Yeah. You've no idea, guys, what's to come. I think... look, guys, I served, what did I do? I think I did 4 tours in the military of Northern Ireland, not in Belfast. I was in South Armagh. And I think there was some sort of respect. Yeah, I think there was some sort of respect. Yeah, there definitely was some sort of respect. Like, you could, I'm not going to mention their names, but you could go... like, I don't know if you guys know Northern Ireland. There's a place right down on the southern border. They call it Bandit Country. There's a town called Crossmaglen. It's right on the border between Ireland and Northern Ireland. So you get a lot of smugglers going over. You would have an intelligence picture and you knew who the players were. You know, and if you were out on a patrol, you go up to them and talk to them. And they'd be nice to you. They'd be a little bit, but they wouldn't be rude. They wouldn't be offensive. Yes, of course they do bad stuff to you, but you had that kind of unwritten rule, I think, which we're not going to have. Banded Steels? What Banded Steels? Banded Steels is saying they won't put you on the housing list after Section 21 till the bailiff comes round. How much mental hardship? Guys, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Like, I don't know if you've read it or not, but in is it Karl Marx? Karl Marx, or is that a singer? Is it Karl Marx who did yes, it is. Karl Marx who did the Communist Manifesto, the Marxist Communist Manifesto. Is it Engels and Marx? In the Communist Manifesto, one of the things, the Communist Manifesto is really small. It's like really little, but you buy the book and it's about this thing because most of it's the accompanying interpretations. But in the Communist Manifesto, one of the things that Marx sets out is when people have nowhere to live, no jobs, and no prospect of jobs. That's when you get the revolution. And that is where we're looking like we're going right now, guys. Golfman22 is saying BBC News website says 3 people were attacked with a pointy thing after an argument in the house where the Afghan man was lodging. Oh, do you know what? Let me get this up, guys. Give me a second. Oh, I hope this is not what I think it is, guys. I hope this is not what I think it is. I'm on the GB News website now. Let me search. Well, how do I search? No, there's no search bar. Okay, I can't find that on the GB News website. I'm looking for it now. I can't find a search bar either. Where's the search bar? There's got to have a search bar. No search bar on GB News. Oh, there we go. No, I've got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, hang on. Oh, I've got a picture of him. No way in a million years. He's no, guys. No way in a million years. All right. No. Sorry, I thought that was it. Yeah, I can't find. Oh, yeah, Jesus. Right. Just put, guys, like, it's absolute crisis. We are in crisis, guys, right now. So, if you can send me more information on that, I'd be happy to share it. Asia Aesthetics is saying, I think people in this country are extremely tolerable. Yes. Look at all the young girls that have been abused. Look at all the people that have been, look at the crime rates. Yeah, so Asia Aesthetics is saying, I think the people of this country have been extremely tolerable to what we've had to go through for the last 10 to 15 years. And I would say it's longer than that, actually. I would say this started with Tony Blair and the destruction of our country and society. This is all part of being subverted, guys. This is a long plan to take over Britain. It's a long plan to take over Britain, because we are going to get to that crisis phase where I mean, can you imagine it now, guys? Look, tell me how you think this is, how likely you think this is. An immigrant goes on a rampage in a town centre with a pointy thing. How likely do you think that is in the United Kingdom right now? Like, do you think we're going to see at least one of those before the new year? And when you say that to yourself, just go through that logical checklist in your head, guys, okay? With that question I've just asked you then. So this is a question again. Do you think it's the question is actually, how likely do you think it is that before the new year, so before January the 1st, in the United Kingdom, there's going to be somebody that's not from this country go on a rampage with a pointy thing somewhere? Like, how likely do you think that is? Now say that back to yourself. Oh yeah, that's going to happen. Say that back to yourself and ask yourself, is that normal? Is that how we have to live? Is that, that's how we have to live? Okay, now let's go one further. If you think it's likely, how many times do you think that's going to happen? Do you think there's going to be a big event? Do you think that event's going to involve vehicles? Crazy, guys. Absolutely crazy. And what do you know what the government will say when it happens? We stand with the communities. We will not let these isolated incidents divide our communities. Our community spirit and diversity is our strength. Our thoughts are with the victims. On repeat. That's what they'll say. That is exactly what. We condemn these heinous attacks. This isolated incident will not divide our communities. We stand together in the face of adversity. That's what will happen. Laurie is saying loads more jobs cut yesterday, but due to AI. Look, guys, Laurie Hill. How many times have I said this? If you have a job right now and it's with transport, logistics, like anything, so taxi drivers, bus drivers, haulage companies, logistics companies, shipping. Maybe not air travel yet, but that will come. If you work on a computer, all those jobs are gone. All those jobs are gone. They're gone. They're done. They're over. They're finished. So you need to, people need to understand that this is just artificial intelligence taking over. And again, if I was in that business, which I'm not, if I was in that business, I'd be like, right, I can either pay staff this much money a year. They get sick. They don't come in. They make mistakes. I can't work them 24 hours a day. Or I can just buy an AI and like have the AI take everybody's job. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to profit shitloads more. You know, and this is just another direction that we're going to be pushed onto a system of universal basic income. It's inevitable, guys. It's inevitable. How, you know, last year I was saying that by this summer, which we are going to have more people searching for less jobs. And as as people get unemployed, you know, a lot of the mainstream, they don't see the full story. Because as more people become unemployed, as more companies go bust, well, this is just by AI, but a lot of companies are going bust as well. As more companies go bust or take in AI and those jobs are not available anymore, you now have more people searching for less jobs. So whereas the jobs market might have been, I don't know, 1,000 jobs and 2,000 applicants. I don't know. Now it's like 10,000. It's ridiculous. BP Sputnik is saying, don't think the government will pay us all to do nothing. There will be a mass cull. Well, there may be a mass cull. There may be a mass war. But after it, it is going to be universal basic income. And I'm not convinced in the mass cull thing. So if we take a step back and we say, right, okay, money is not... I haven't got my wallet. Where's my wallet, actually? Ah, it's my other thing. Money is not real, guys. It's literally a piece of paper. It's nothing. It's a number on a screen. So money doesn't mean anything. You can print, trust me, guys, you can print as like the government could give everybody £1 million tomorrow if they wanted. Wouldn't be very good because, you know, you'd get hyperinflation and the pound would be crippled. But if we're changing the global system and having, I don't know, like a new world, I don't know, order of things, then that universal basic income, the more people you have spending that universal basic income, the more your economy is moving, the more cash flow you've got. And that's what everything's about, guys. Economy is about cash flow. And right now, people are scared to spend. Stephen Ward is saying it's only inevitable if we minded people let it happen. The future is not set and we must make our own future. That sounded like the Terminator there. You know, where you're when Kyle Reese gives, what's her name? Not Linda Hamilton, although it is Linda Hamilton. What's the woman's name in Terminator? Sarah Connor. Where Kyle Reese is in the car. He's just done the thing and he's like, what a fantastic movie that was. Fantastic movie, The Terminator and Terminator 2. The rest just went downhill. The third Terminator, the storyline of the third Terminator is actually quite good. It's not that bad, but the execution was terrible. Execution was absolutely terrible of that movie. The third Terminator could have been so much better. So much better. Like if I was doing the third Terminator, I would have both Arnold and that like female. I wouldn't have had it like a low certificate. I would have had it an 18 certificate, and it would have been gory as shit. That woman was quite a cool Terminator, you know, but I would have had her turn Arnold a lot earlier, and then John Connor and Catherine Brewster. They would have had to kill both of them. Because I think that would have been much more badass. That would have been much more badass if Arnold went bad again for the last one. And then you could see that character. You'd have been able to see that character arc of John Connor turn from bit of a nerd to like badass hero. Anyway, sorry. What was I going with? Yeah, sorry guys. I go on little side missions. Stephen Ward is saying it's only inevitable if we guys. What a fantastic! I think I should do these movies. I'm just picturing those fight scenes now. You know, because John Connor would have that with the T-800. You know, because he saved him in Terminator 2, and now he's back, and now he's got to kill him. That would have been a fantastic movie. It's only inevitable if we minded people let it happen. The future is not set, and we must make our own future. You're right, I agree, but there are dark forces working against everybody. You know, dark forces working against everybody. I mean, can you imagine if people are, if people are shackled to universal basic income, and they say, right, if you go out to this protest, if you go out to this gathering, we're going to turn your universal basic income off. Nobody will go. Stefan is saying, sounds like you're defeated already. We need strong-minded people, not weak ones. We must fight this to the bitter end because I will not go for a world, for our world, or I will not go for our world a slave. Stefan, I'm being realistic, okay? What do you mean fight? You're gonna go fisticuffs against the government with guns? Good luck. Literally, good luck with that one. Absolutely good luck. You know, I implore you, go do it. You're going to go up against somebody with, you're going to go fisticuffs with somebody going rammy. You're going to punch a car. It's not going to happen. I'm being realistic, and I've given you, and Stefan, with respect, I've given plenty of analysis on what is needed to be done. And what's needed to be done is the first step is a national conversation about what legal framework we have as the people of the United Kingdom, what legal framework we have to oppose a tyrannical government. Now, I've done that to death, guys, on lots of other live streams, but, without that, there's nothing. People standing up on their own will be taken down. And what we've seen is people, I don't feel yet, are ready to stand up at once. When they are ready to stand up at once, things are going to be a lot worse. And that's the direction that we're going. Matt is saying the Terminator and the Matrix are linked. Oh no! How? I don't see the crossover, guys. We're all agreeing with the Terminator. We're all agreeing with the Terminator. Footlong, good morning, Footlong. I love you, Footlong. You have listen, guys. Footlong has an absolutely terrifying thumbnail. That's terrifying. I may have to put my thumb over it. Everyone is saying about Russia with nukes, but it's all just to try and scare the public. I can't see anyone using nukes these days. No, I can't as well. I've said this many times, guys. I don't think anyone's going to use a nuclear weapon. I don't see the case use for nuclear weapons. I don't see why, right now, anyway, I don't see the case use. When they were used in Japan, nuclear weapons were used in nuclear weapons were used in Japan because the Japanese were ready for a good old ready for a US invasion. And the Americans looked at this and they were like, wow, the human toll is going to be phenomenal. Because the Japanese were going to would have kept fighting. They're strong, proud people. And I absolutely respect that. The Americans didn't want to lose that amount of men. So rather than go in there with hundreds and thousands of soldiers and it be an absolute... You can imagine the carnage with a naval assault onto Japan. What the Americans did is they dropped 2 bombs. They said, right, there you go, Hiroshima. And then they dropped another bomb, Nagasaki. Right, we'll keep going unless you surrender. And then the Japanese just said, yeah, we can't do anything about this. We're good. Right now, I don't see the case for a nuclear weapon being used. I really don't. There was a case used in, not in Ukraine, in Russia, like last year or early this year, whenever it was. Didn't happen. So, I don't think it's ever going to use, guys. I don't think they're ever going to be used. Christine Chambers is saying The Matrix was a documentary. Sometimes it feels like it, doesn't it? Sometimes it feels like we're living in the Matrix. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go through I'm going to go through the crux of this video again, and then we will begin to start thinking about closing this down, guys. Okay, so this is a crisis alert. It's all over social media today. Lots of people are sharing. Lots of people are talking about civil war inevitable in the United Kingdom. I agree. I've been agreeing for a long time. What I will say though is I don't think this is. Oh, I'm watching this video again. It's just Alex Jones has just shared it 1 hour ago. Jesus Christ! It's just this Jesus. It's only a 10. Sorry, guys. Alex Jones has just shared that video. Alex Jones has just put this. The UK government is responsible for this wave of death. Footage of the Afghan attacking the public in Uxbridge today, killing one man and injuring two others, including a 14-year-old boy. We are under attack across the land from those we welcomed in by the government. Ben Habib, guys, look, just Ben Habib. I love Ben Habib. Ben Habib is saying an illegal migrant broke into our country, was gifted indefinite leave to remain, and went on to brutally murder an innocent man. Wayne Broder should be alive today. He should. He should. His family, guys. Look, I do this quite often because I've faced I've faced a few death situations in my life, and the next morning when you wake up, everything's different. It changes you. And I always think, you know, Wayne Broadhurst, who was murdered by the Afghan, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but maybe if he'd have. And this is what his wife and his kids, they'll all be thinking this, if he'd have just gone out 5 minutes later or 5 minutes earlier, if he'd have finished his cup of tea, if he'd have watched the end of that program, if he'd have not watched the end of that program, all these little things, and you try and put it together, you try and make sense. But he's gone, he's dead, he ain't coming back. And not a word from not a word from any politician, not a word from any mainstream politician, not a word from the Prime Minister, not a word from David Lammy, not a word from anyone really. Sorry, guys. Right. Yeah. So we're talking about the critical alert in the United Kingdom, guys. Okay. We have this thing here. It is going to be a civil war, but it's not going to be a civil war. A civil war would be where you have two rival sides. These guys want X, Y, and Z. These guys want A, B, and C. Right. We've won. We get our way. Okay. Right. We've won. We get our way. That's not what's coming, guys. What's coming is going to be a lot worse. It's all hell's going to break loose, ladies and gentlemen. You know, protect yourselves. You know, so I'm going to come back on maybe later on today, and I'm going to talk about. I mean, everybody wants to get the food and the water. I don't think people are going to want to run out of food and water and stuff. But if you're going to get anything, I would get water. I would give yourself, you know, strict. You know, say to your kids, just say, look, you know. We're not living in normal times right now. We are not living in normal times. We need to, you know, as a family, you need to understand this. You know, are you going to have your kids walking on the streets at 10 o'clock at night? Absolutely not. Get those kids in. You know, they need to understand the threat. Sharon Owen is saying Elon posted about the hobbits on X. Gently English folk. I'm no hobbit. I'm not a hobbit. I'm a ranger from the north. I am the ranger from the north. I'm the last of the Dunedain. Let me try and find this post on X. When Tolkien wrote about the hobbits, he was referring to the gentle folk of the English Shires. We don't realize the horrors that take place far away. They were able to live there in peace and tranquility, but only because they were protected by the hardened men of Gondor. Well, it wasn't just the hardened men. I think he's actually wrong there. They were actually so in Lord of the Rings. You had these small villages, like the hobbits, for example. And the hobbits and the small little villages, they were protected by the Dunedain, which were I guess it was the people. Yeah, I guess it was from the men of Gondor, because originally the Dunedain were on the throne of Gondor. But it was men on the outskirts, and these, and the hobbits never knew the horrors of war, because they were, the rangers from the north, the rangers from the north were on the outskirts fighting these people. I actually think that's a good analogy, actually, Sharon. Thank you for putting me onto this. So this is 2 hours. What who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. Look, guys, I think Elon could be the prime minister, or maybe even a dictator, because I don't want a prime minister right now, guys. I want a dictator. I want a dictator. I want a dictator. What happened to the nice man who was brutally murdered while walking his dog will happen to all of England if the tide of illegal immigration is not turned. It's time for the English to ally with the hard men like Tommy Robinson and fight for their survival, or they shall surely die. Let me no, there's enough people sharing that. And I think that's fair, guys. I do think that's fair. Those those men, and it is men. The men who are very abjurate, who are very set in ways, who are very patriotic, who will do what is necessary. They get stopped by the peaceful men. The peaceful men, oh no, don't do this. Oh no, it's too bad. Okay. Some men are not ready, guys. Some men are not ready. You are not ready for what's coming. You're not ready, guys. I promise. I promise you guys, you're not ready for what's coming. If you've seen the video, you've seen the video of this guy being attacked in Uxbridge. It's only a 10-second. I'm not telling anybody to watch it. I'm not telling anybody not to watch it. It's dark. How would you react? How would you react if you saw that right in front of you? If you saw that, you've got two options. One, you can put him in a rear naked choke, and that means you're going to get sent to jail, for attacking a migrant. Or you walk over the street and you just ignore it. That's where we are right now, guys. We have no legal framework. There is no legal framework. There is no legal framework to protect ourselves. And if there is, it needs clarification. We need an open conversation about this, guys. We really do. Claire is saying, near where I live, we have 3,500 of these people in our borough. And are they enriching you, Claire? Claire, are you enriched? Do you feel enriched, Claire? When you go out, Claire, I'm assuming you live by the seaside because of your picture. I don't know. But when you go out and you're walking your dog or whatever, do you feel enriched? Christine Chambers was saying something. Christine Chambers is saying, we are in a spiritual war, good versus evil. I agree. They have ran the world. Deep state is falling. We will become part of America. Guys, are you seeing that as well now? Are you guys seeing that as well? Can you remember last year? Guys, look, I don't know if you've been following me that long. Can you remember last year when I did a video and I said, the United Kingdom is going to become part of the United States, or however they're going to jig it? Can you remember people saying that it's never going to happen, that won't happen, oh yeah, it's never going to happen? How do you feel about that now? Right, listen, guys, I'm going to close this down now. If you're on right now, guys, can you do me a massive favor? First of all, like, share, comment, subscribe, bell notification, all those things. Can you do me a massive favor, guys? Try and open this conversation with people, because we need to do this on a national level. What legal framework do we have to protect ourselves from a tyrannical government? So all I'm asking, open that conversation up with your friends, with your family. Let's try and open this up, guys, because ultimately, and you know, some people have been on the live stream and they've been saying, oh, but we've got this law, oh, we've got this law. In ancient law, everyone has it's fucking bullshit, guys, all right? Without that open interpretation and without that open conversation, and this has to be done on a national level, without that national conversation, it's going nowhere. Without people questioning Keir Starmer on the stand saying, you know, the Kemi Baden saying, Keir Starmer, I put it to you, without Kemi Baden saying, can I ask the Prime Minister what legal framework the people of this country have to oppose a tyrannical government? Without those questions and without that clarification, people are just going to be taken down. You can have a 1 million man march, you can have a 10 million man march, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, those guys with guns are going to win. And if you've got no legal framework to fight back, to say, well, hang on a minute, guys, hang on a minute, you guys are tyrants, we're forming a defensive line here and you're not coming past. Without that ability, we're just going to get taken down, and there's too many. That's the reality, guys. That conversation needs to happen. So that's step one. That's step one. I may have to change my. I may have to change my apocalypse. In fact, where is it? I may have to change my apocalypse attire from leather chaps and leather jacket to hooded cloak and bow. Right, ladies and gentlemen, guys, I'm going to close this down. Thank you for hanging out with me, guys. Please share that message with your friends and family, because ultimately that conversation needs to be had. I will be pushing that through on TikTok offensively. I do want to get that message out there, guys. Listen, I'll be back on later, I think, this afternoon, and I will certainly be back on later tonight. Guys, thank you for hanging out with me this morning, and I will see you guys later.